Anti-derivative Jill.
I'm anti-derivative Jill, and joining me on this epic journey is Tygerstripes. I
Hello.
Yes, hello.
Hey.
Hello and welcome to A Year's Journey Through Middle-earth, Book 1, Chapter 3, Three is Company.
Three is company, and the title plays on the expression two's company, three's a crowd, with Pippin joining Frodo and Sam on the walk to Buckland. And of course, it's also a play on that it's the third chapter. And then the word company foreshadows the company of the ring as Elrond comes to name the walkers. All kinds of dad jokes going on there.
Yes, and I think it's really clever that you saw all those layers. I definitely didn't see that last one, the
Oh,
Company of the
I'm only just
Rings, the
realizing
Fellowship.
most of this now. It's after all these years.
Well done there. Gandalf warns Frodo that he has to leave the Shire soon, and Frodo decides to leave on September the 22nd on his 50th birthday, the same year that the same age that Bilbo left
Yes, on his
for
quest.
his
Yes, on his
yeah, for
journey with
his
the
quest
dwarves. To
to be a
yes,
burglar.
yes, to be lucky number 14. It's Gandalf who advises Frodo to travel to Rivendell. Yeah, more early foreshadowing. But you cannot see very far, said Gandalf. Neither can I. It may be your task to find the cracks of doom, but that quest may be for others. I do not know. At any rate, you are not ready for that long road yet. There's the whole
Mhm.
book right there. Just
Yeah,
boom.
oh, that's true. And he wasn't ready, and so he wanted to savor as much as he could of his what he believes might be his last summer in the Shire. So he already believes that it's unlikely that he's going to survive this. So he's going to stay throughout the summer and he's going to leave in the fall on his birthday. Frodo's happy that Gandalf wants him to go to Rivendell because he'll be able to show Sam the elves. They come up with a
And
scheme to.
I think he's also looking forward to seeing Bilbo. He anticipates seeing Bilbo there, I think.
That's correct. That's correct. That is one
Yeah.
of the biggest reasons also why he's happy to go to Rivendell because Bilbo's retired there. That is definitely one of the things he wants to do, and it's a good thing he does, as we'll see. So no one can understand why Frodo wants to leave Hobbiton, but he can't go around telling everybody he's going to save the Shire and Middle Earth and defeat the forces of evil. So he has to pretend that he's just moving to Buckland. He's leaving the Hobbiton to live with his Brandy Buck family and selling bag end to the Sackville Bagginses.
No, just what a wrench.
They've been waiting for a long time
A
to
very
live
long
there,
time.
and they think that they've been patient. They're ready to own it all finally. Of course, Mary helps with the scheme. He buys a house in Buckland to make this story more believable.
And I am, again, so impressed by what a champion friend Mary is. He helps his friend pack and move. I had never made enough of a distinction between Mary and Pippin before, but now I realize that Mary's like a king of hobbits. I mean, Pippin's a lucky fool as often as not. That's kind of his place in the story, to be the lucky fool. But Mary's just on beyond zebra. He's the best.
Yes, I agree. He's an incredible friend.
Yeah, he's not only bought this house for Frodo in Buckland, but he's going ahead to unpack for him.
Right. He's going ahead to get the house warmed up for him and unpack and everything. And he's even we're not on that chapter yet, but he's even gonna rearrange all of the furniture to look as much like Bag End as possible. And on Frodo's birthday, is that background too loud? Do
It's
you hear the background?
audible. It depends on how people feel about the laughter of little children,
I guess that's okay.
the happy hobbits in the background.
So so Frodo's birthday arrives and he has a small party just with Mary and Pippin and Foco Boffin and Fatty Bulger.
Good old fatty.
Yeah. He doesn't know how to tell his young cousins that he's about to leave. And like he said, Mary and Fatty go to say they're off. They're going early to the new house to unpack and make everything nice. For when Frodo arrives, the Sackville Bagginses come to get their key, and the other key is at Sam's house, which doesn't make Lobelia very happy. Frodo, Pippin, and Sam have another cup of tea before they leave Baggins. But before they really leave, Frodo sees that the Gaffer is talking to somebody who's looking for Mr. Baggins. The Gaffer tells him that Frodo's moved away. And so Frodo calls for Sam and they set off.
And the gaffer really gives it to him, too. No, Mr. Baggins has gone away. Went this morning and my Sam went with him. Anyway, all his stuff went. Yes, sold out and gone, I tell 'ee. Why? Why's none of my business or yours? Where to? You know, he just really gives it to him. And that's amazing. I mean, he's talking to a black rider. That's hobbit
Hobbits really stand their ground.
strength. Yes.
They're not intimidated just because you're taller than them.
I mean, this is,
Than they
a creature that animals are frightened of. Just amazing.
Yes.
And he gives him a ration of shit. Good old Gaffer.
Yes. When Frodo calls for Sam, Sam has been saying farewell to the beer barrel in the cellar.
That is very lovely. He arrives wiping his mouth. Well, they finished off the last of the old vineyards so that the Sackville Bagginses wouldn't get it.
Yes, that was Frodo's birthday party. Frodo wonders if he'll ever look down at that valley again.
Yeah, no, this is a lovely illustration of Frodo, Sam, and then Pippin bringing up the rear. It's, and it's particularly lovely, I think, because it's got Sam in his shapeless hat, which most people forget about, that Sam's wearing a hat when they start off.
I did. I did forget about that. I read it, but it leaves my mind pretty quickly.
It's a very pretty illustration. I don't know the artist's name. It's down there, and they're wonderful.
They are, definitely.
And there's Sam staring up at the stars.
And okay, so that's the start of their journey. They're starting their journey and they camp out, but they set no watch because they're still in the heart of the Shire. And then something very odd in a Tolkien story occurs where we get this perspective of a fox who thinks it's very strange that there are hobbits sleeping under a tree outside. I mean, I know we will get eagles later on who talk, but they're sentient beings. These are ostensibly more instinct based.
I'm not even
creatures.
sure. Do the eagles talk? They often show up, but I don't know if they bother to have conversation. I guess they talk to Gandalf.
They're capable, I guess, of talking to Gandalf, but I don't know how.
But that might be because Gandalf knows their language as opposed to
It's
them.
true.
But
You can even talk to moths, so what's the
Yeah.
real limit there?
Yes. I mean, there are some birds that can talk, and surprisingly well.
I guess it's just that we're not focusing so much on the animals, but they can.
But it is so
They can
funny, a fox's thoughts at this point in the book.
Yeah,
It's almost
I like
like
that.
a little goodbye wave to the children's book. 'Cause it's
I
about to
like
get
that
pretty dark.
perspective. It does. Well, these first few chapters are really lighthearted and sweet, as we're going to find out. Frodo also mentions walking for pleasure. Why didn't I drive? So then they find themselves, they're still on the road because they think things are safe. He says that Bilbo used to say there was only one road, that it was like a great river. Its springs were at every doorstep, and every path was its tributary. And so they set on the road to Rivendell with Sam and Pippin, and
It's beautiful.
and it's some great reminiscing that Frodo has about Bilbo. And in many ways, this adventure starts off a bit like Bilbo's own adventure.
And they've barely
then-
been gone a day and a half when the Black Rider catches up to them. So
They do.
are really being pursued. This is the second time there's been one in the book, even though you're not quite aware who the Gaffer is talking to. In retrospect, it becomes clear And it's
Yes.
there's just this ever increasing feeling of unease every time they see one, but particularly this first time.
Yes, that's right. They have the enemy on their heels right from the start. So they hear the horse coming, and so they hide and they wait for the rider to pass, and they see he has a long cloak. They can't see his face. This whole experience makes Frodo really want to put on that ring. He's toying with it in his pocket, but he somehow manages to avoid. He somehow has enough willpower not to use it, as Gandalf advised him. And luckily, the rider ends up passing on. He hears something in the distance that makes him think maybe the hobbits are over there, even though he can smell. He can almost smell the hobbits, but he doesn't know what he's smelling, or he would have really looked behind there. But he's got some kind of extrasensory, heightened sense of smell.
Yeah, because the riders, the Nazgul cannot see as we see.
Oh, that
Yeah,
makes sense.
yeah, they're I don't think they're
So
blind,
they
but they don't see the
well,
way we see.
well, dogs are essentially colorblind, but they see and smell three-dimensionally. They can smell something and see it.
No, they can smell so many more things than we can.
And Sam tells Frodo what his dad told him.
Now, I also love this line of Pippin's, but what has one of the big people got to do with us? I love the way they call people and anything other than a hobbit the big people, the same way that people of the UK call supernatural beings the little people. There's just this reverse play on words. It's very clever.
Oh, definitely. The big people.
The big
And then
people.
the big people call them halflings.
Yes.
So they keep moving, but now that they have seen danger, they are no longer on the road. They don't believe now. They know that that's not safe. I'm also highlighting words I don't know. There's a tussucky, which is a small area of grass that's thicker or longer than
Oh,
the grass
tussocky.
growing around it. Tussocky. Okay.
Yeah, a
So this
tussock. So it's
I'm also
tussocky.
learning. I'm learning words that I mean, I've read this before, but I just scroll past it. But during this read through, I'm gonna highlight any words that I don't know. Then we get the song that, of course, became a when we get to the movies becomes a real song that's pretty. But as I don't sing, I'm only going to read it. Home is behind, the world ahead, and there are many paths to tread through shadows to the edge of night until the stars are all alight. Then world behind and home ahead will wander back to home in bed, mist and twilight, cloud and shade. Away shall fade, away shall fade. Then they hear more hoofbeats, so they hide again. So they're hearing more horses, but this time it's not a rider. And Sam gets excited because what they see is they see elves. And Sam has never seen elves before, despite admiring them in all the
Ooh,
stories.
I have to interrupt. It is a rider. And the rider is really sent away by the song of the elves.
That
And
was a right. Okay,
the
thank you.
rider retreats because the elves are coming toward them.
I
So it's the
see.
goodness of the elves, the innate sanctity of the elves that drives it away. The hoofs drew nearer, and then they hide. The sound of hoofs stopped. As Frodo watched, he saw something dark pass across the lighter space between two trees and then halt. It looked like the black shade of a horse led by a smaller black shadow. The black shadow stood close to the point where they had left the path, and it swayed from side to side. Frodo thought he heard the sound of snuffling. The shadow bent to the ground and then began to crawl towards him. Once more the desire to slip on the ring came over Frodo, but this time it was stronger than before. So strong that almost before he realized what he was doing, his hand was groping in his pocket. But at that moment, there came a sound like mingled song and laughter. Clear voices rose and fell in the starlit air. The black shadow straightened up and retreated. It climbed onto the shadowy horse and seemed to vanish across the lane into the darkness on the other side. Frodo breathed again. And at that point, of course, elves! Exclaimed Sam in a hoarse whisper. Elves, sir! It's the presence of the elves that. So this is no. They're the riders right on top of them again. It's pretty great. Elves!
I
Exclaimed
must.
Sam in a hoarse whisper. Elves, sir! He would have burst out of the trees and dashed off toward the voices if they had not pulled him back. Good old Sam.
Oh, and they're singing their song, and
There's so many songs. So many
so many
songs.
songs,
I
so
was
many
going to count
songs.
them at some point. I thought maybe I should be counting songs. I'm like, no, I'm not going to do that. But maybe I should have been.
But
So many songs.
Frodo's there are so many. Frodo's surprised they're high elves who don't come to the Shire very often. Is my daughter barking?
Yes. Is she
Okay.
a pound puppy?
I'm not sure. I liked this. They bore no lights, yet as they walked, a shimmer like the light of the moon above the rim of the hills before it rises seemed to fall about their feet. I'm gonna go see what the sounds are about. I'll be right
Sure.
back.
Okay. Yes. That's beautiful. They bore no lights, yet as they walked, a shimmer like the light of the moon above the rim of the hills before it rises seemed to fall about their feet. They were now silent, and as the last elf passed, he turned and looked towards the hobbits and laughed. They know they're there. It's fortunate, really, that the elf kind of acknowledges them and reaches out, because they could have just kept walking and said nothing, like so many elevated people will or can. I'm not saying who, but you know what I mean, that thing where people just kind of snub you because you're not in their league. They are acknowledged by the last elf in the line. And they
Oh,
even know who Bilbo is, which is remarkable.
well, they do find it odd to find hobbits in the woods like this, and so they believe that the hobbits might be lost.
But they seem to come and go in this neighborhood pretty frequently because they know Bilbo just from his wandering, just from his walking the neighborhood.
Apparently, they are exiles. They say that most of our kindred have long ago departed, and we are too. We too are now only tarrying here a while before we return over the great sea. But some of our kinsfolks dwell still in peace in Rivendell.
And to
I
tarry
I
here
know.
for a while, what does that mean to an elf? Does that mean, well, we're just going to hang out around 50 years? That's just, that's nothing. That's nothing.
Right. That's just a few minutes.
Yes. Yeah, for them, probably.
But they do also say that they find hobbits dull and they weren't really interested in hanging out with them.
Oh, I think
And
they're joking because they
oh,
laugh
they were
when they say
joking.
that.
They were
Yeah.
joking.
Yes.
Oh, they were.
Well, Frodo's not really telling them. They kind of know what's up with him. They're really smart, and Frodo's talking around it. He's like, well, we just seem to be going the same way you are, but I would welcome your company. At which point they laugh, but we have no need of other company, and hobbits are so dull. So how do you know you're going the same way? You don't know where we're going. And Frodo says, how do you know my name? So they're bantering, but it's cute. It's funny.
Then Pippin says, "Tell us about the Black Riders."
Yes.
And
Yes,
that
the lucky
changes.
fool.
That
I mean,
changes their
really.
demeanor quick.
Yes. I mean, it really is fortunate. If he had not just sort of butted in and interrupted the introductions and, and the back and forth, they might not have taken them.
Yeah, they might have talked to them for a little while and then moved on.
Yeah.
But this is serious now that they've heard this. We will not speak of this here. And so yes, that's
Yes,
how
yes,
Pippin got
he's the lucky
everybody.
fool. Because he blurts this out, they get to go with elves.
They get to go with elves. They get to hang out with them, and the elves even they give the hobbits food and drink, and they say, "Oh, we're sorry we don't have the great provisions that we would have if we were at Rivendell." But Frodo says this is good enough for a birthday party.
It sounds lovely.
And Sam's walking alongside Frodo as if in a dream, with an expression on his face half of fear and half of astonished. The best thing Frodo does here is he's taken all that he's learned from Bilbo and he speaks to the elves in their own language, which serves to impress Gildor and the other elves.
Like the Parisian French. Oh, what?
Pippin goes to fall asleep in the elven tree beds, but Sam falls asleep right at Frodo's feet.
Or does he?
Oh, right.
Oh,
right.
yes. Yes.
He's not dropping any eaves.
No fool our Sam.
Frodo's talking to Gildor about the Black Riders, but he won't tell Gildor what he's really doing. Also, Gildor won't tell Frodo exactly what the Black Riders are, so they're both keeping things from each other.
They are. And Gildor has a nice observation when Frodo asks him, I've been expecting Gandalf, but he's late. Should I wait? Gildor says, I do not like this news. That Gandalf should be late does not bode well. But it is said, do not meddle in the affairs of wizards, for they are subtle and quick to anger. The choice is yours, to go or wait. And it is also said, answered Frodo, go not to the elves for counsel, for they will say both no and yes. So yeah, they're having some fun with each other. That makes Gildor laugh.
It does, and he's amused by it because he understands it. It's something that is part of their culture. He says, elves seldom give unguarded advice, for advice is a dangerous gift, even from the wise to the wise. And he also gives him some general encouragement, some general hope. Courage is found in unlikely places. He's generally very supportive. He also says the wide world is all about you. You can fence yourself in, but you cannot forever fence it out.
I also love, because I kind of looked in the book. At some point it was starting to nag me. At what point do we, the reader, and the hobbits learn what a Black Rider is? And it's way in there. I mean, as a reader, you kind of work it through, but nobody just flat tells them. Frodo says, I am deeply grateful, but I wish you would tell me plainly what the Black Riders are. If I take your advice, I may not see Gandalf for a long while, and I ought to know what is the danger that pursues me. Is it not enough to know that they are servants of the enemy? Answered Gildor. Flee them. Speak no words to them. They are deadly. Ask no more of me. So he does not want to talk about that.
He finds a friend in Frodo.
He is very charmed by Frodo. Yeah, Frodo is very special. And Gildor says, the wandering company shall know of your journey, and those that have the power for good shall be on the watch. I name you elf friend, and made the stars shine upon the end of your road. That's lovely, and I have a feeling like it really carries weight. It's not nothing. It's just some sort of invisible blessing that any elf can kind of see. That's that magic.
They go to sleep in these wonderful beds that apparently they smell really nice. And these are just, the elves are just camping, but they camp in style still.
They're glamping.
Exactly. But that's the end of chapter 3. That's all for now. And we're going to continue our quest. Stay tuned.
Namari.
This is the end. I'm going now. I bid you all a very fond farewell.